Welcome, everybody. Welcome to our EB2 webinar. We are just going to give everyone a few minutes to join us. Our webinar today will be about EB2s, a pathway to green card for entrepreneurs and professionals. So welcome, everybody. We're so happy that you're here today. My name is 𝗲𝗿𝗲𝗀𝗍𝗍, and I am the supervising attorney here at Egan Immigration. And we also have Hannah Whaley, our senior business immigration attorney. Hi, Hannah. How are you today?
I'm great. How are you?
Good. We're so happy that you're doing this webinar number 2. And you're going to be focusing on EB2s today. We know that EB2s are a hot topic right now. So people are eager to learn more about EB2s. So thank you so much, Hannah. We're going to give everybody one more minute just to join us today. Hope everybody's having a good Thursday so far. Awesome. Okay, I see some hearts. I like that. Love it. All right. So we'll just wait one more minute. Yes, perfect. Yeah, you're good. You're good. Okay. So, okay, let's get started. So we are very happy again to be doing this webinar. Hannah Whaley, who is our senior business immigration attorney, will be focusing on EB2s. But before we get started, we just wanted to talk about Egan Immigration and give a brief snapshot of the company's history and the timeline. Egan Immigration was founded by Lauren Egan in 2014, in October 2014. So we just celebrated our 9-year anniversary a few weeks ago. And Lauren started Egan Immigration on her couch while living in Falls Church, Virginia. For a couple of years, she had an office in DC, and in 2017, she expanded into McLean, Virginia, where I'm currently sitting right now. I'm at the office today, and in this office, we process a lot of our mail. And also in 2018, Egan expanded into a second physical office in Seattle, Washington. And in 2020, we transitioned to being more of a remote law firm. And so right now we only have one office, which is in Tysons, Virginia, only about 30 minutes away or 20 minutes away from Washington, D.C. And we have a few administrative staff here at the Virginia office. And because I live local, I also come to the office often. And yeah, it's really great to come to the office and spend a little bit time with my colleagues here. All right. So then in 2021, Lauren had a video go viral on TikTok where, things due to that video going viral, we also saw a huge growth in the company. And in 2022, the strategic executive team is when it began focusing on strategic growth of the company, including creating a vision, mission, and values. And in spring of 2022, that's where, with the aid of an outsourced IT firm, Xgenesis, we implemented Microsoft Suite, immigrating from Google. And in winter of 2023, Egan expands officially to Costa Rica. So we also have an office in Costa Rica. And we created a subsidy and established an office there. Okay, so we have some colleagues as well in the Costa Rican office that also help us as a support staff for the company. And then in February 2023, we had the great addition of adding a business immigration practice and expanding our product offering. So Hannah Whaley, with all of her expertise, came on board to EGAN Immigration and is helping us launch this business immigration section. So we are also very excited about that. So again, welcome, Hannah, and we're very excited for you to teach us more about EB2s today.
Of course, I'm super excited. All right, can everyone hear me okay? Okay, good.
Yes.
So first we're starting off. So who is the EB2 National Interest Waiver for? The EB2 National Interest Waiver is an employment-based green card. And what this means is that by applying for an EB2, it is a direct route to a green card. And this category is specifically tailored for professionals, entrepreneurs, and those with exceptional ability, and specifically anyone who can provide significant contributions within their field of work here in the United States. And some of the biggest areas that we see that in is science, technology, business, culture, and education. So what makes this category different from the others? Because I'm sure you guys are aware of all the different visa categories, employment-based green cards. There's a lot out there. So what makes the EB2 NIW so special, in my opinion, is that 3 different things. 1, you can self-petition. What this means is that you don't need anybody to apply for this green card pathway. You don't need a job offer either. And you get to bypass the labor certification process. And not to get too in the weeds with the labor certification process, but with other employment categories such as the perm, the labor certification process takes about 1.5 to 2 years where an employer must petition for a worker. And it is a green card route, but it's significantly longer. While in this situation, you don't need the job offer, don't need the employer, you just apply with your credentials and show that you fulfill this category. And this is particularly attractive to entrepreneurs. And this is because they're able to apply without really needing that employer sponsorship and really just show their record of success thus far in their specific field of work. So it is a very, very attractive option to a lot of professionals. Qualifying criteria. So the first thing you need to figure out is if you can pass the preliminary qualifications. And to pass this, you must have one of the 3 things. 1 is an advanced degree. 2, a bachelor's degree plus 5 years of work or exceptional ability. And all you need to do is show one of these categories. And we're about to go into detail about what exactly each of these categories mean. Advanced degree. So to qualify for this, what is required is that the applicant must show that they have a degree beyond a bachelor's degree. And this is defined as a master's degree or higher. And I know a big thing that comes up with a lot of clients is, okay, I have a degree, it's an advanced degree, but I got it outside the United States. What do we do? The easy way to do this is to get something called a degree evaluation. I will explain this a little more later in today's presentation, but a degree evaluation essentially translates the work you've done in your education thus far outside of the US and creates a US equivalent that shows 𝘀𝗎𝐼S that you do indeed meet this criteria of having an advanced degree. And I just suggest that you always get a degree evaluation because you can avoid receiving an RFE or denial. And for those who are unfamiliar with what an RFE is, it is when you submit a case and the government essentially says, 𝘀𝗎𝐼S says, we have some questions, we need more explanations, and it just slows down the case. So if you ever qualify with an advanced degree, it is strongly encouraged to always get that degree evaluation. The second way to qualify, which I love for those who don't have an advanced degree, is a bachelor's degree plus 5 years of progressive work. Now, for this category, we have to be very careful because the 5 years of relevant experience must come after receiving the bachelor's degree. And this is a really nice thing that is offered because a lot of people get their degrees and they go home or they go to different locations. So they're able to get those 5 years, and it's such a low threshold. So a lot of people typically are able to qualify here if they don't have a master's or doctoral level degree. But it is very, very important to understand that experience is established after obtaining the degree. Even if it is related with something that you did beforehand, USCIS will not count it as those 5 years. So if you don't have either of the degrees, but you have a record of success, there is another way to qualify, which is showing exceptional ability. And here you only have to demonstrate 3 of the 7 criteria that we will go into detail about next. First is having an official record of degrees, diplomas, certificates, or similar awards from a college, university, or another institution that is related specifically to your area of work. Next, you have to show 10 years of full-time experience, which is usually proven and supplemented with letters from current and former employers. Another way to qualify is to have a license to practice within your profession. Another one is commanding a higher salary or monetary payment for your services, membership in professional associations, as well as recognition of your achievements and significant contributions in your industry. And lastly, the catch-all, which is any comparable evidence of eligibility. Criteria 1. So the first one is that official academic record. It is as plain as it is. You need a copy of your degree, diploma, or certificates, mainly for a lot of STEM applicants who are in the field of technology or science. Usually that's certificates. In this situation, all you have to do is have a copy of these records. If it's academic, it is pertinent that you have the list of classes and grades as well. And it is also extremely important that you have certified translations. If the translations aren't there, I can guarantee you USCIS will issue you an RFE and ask you for those translations. So best practice, have those translations and also get a degree evaluation if you're able to. But if it's a certification, just make sure you have the list of classes that you took and the amount of hours as well that went into receiving that certification. The second criteria is the 10 years of full-time experience. Now, as I said, this can be proven through letters. And with this entire category for the EB2, it is just very evidence heavy. So you need to be able to provide documentation to support your case. And in this situation, USCIS does not require that it needs to be signed, dated on letterhead. But from my experience, I've seen so many issues where USCIS decides that they need the letters to be verified. The best way to get ahead of this is to make sure any letters that you receive that document your experience is signed, dated, and on letterhead, because it'll help you tremendously. Oh, and it is also important to ensure that the person who's writing your letter puts in the letter how they're familiar with you and your work. Because if that's not in there, they may also question the validity of the letters that you're submitting for this category. The third criteria is a license to practice. And I know specifically with a lot of physical therapists that I've worked and helped for in the past, they've had this issue of there's only but so many steps you can take from outside the United States. If you're someone who is looking to go into this category, but you'll have to consular process because you're not here in the United States, that is okay. You can still prove this category. One way to prove it is to show that you've taken all the necessary steps but for entering the United States. What does this mean? It means that you've taken every single step that you can from outside of the United States. And if you can show that, you are able to satisfy this criteria. And a lot of physical therapists do this. They show that they've done everything except they need to be physically present to take their final exam and get their US license. The fourth criteria, commanding a higher salary or monetary payment. This is one that confuses a lot of applicants because they're not sure how to show that they're making more than average. One of the best ways to show it is look up the average for your profession in your area and compare it to what you're making. And that is a way to show that you've commanded a higher salary. Another one is monetary payment for your services. This is one that I always likes to use the example, of artists, for example. Now, artists, if they're doing solo commissions, they may charge $3,000, $5,000, $10,000, depending on the level of skill for specific artistic pieces that they're creating. This is a form of evidence to show that you're commanding a monetary payment due to your exceptional ability and skill. And that is one way that you can satisfy this criteria. But there are a variety of ways that you can show this, especially if you're in a more STEM-related field or an artistic field where you're doing a lot of independent work on the side. The fifth criteria is membership of in professional associations. This is also a kind of finicky one with USCIS. It doesn't matter what type of professional associations that you're in, but it is more favorable when there's a level of criteria that gets you into that association. And this could be as simple as, let's say, speaking of physical therapists, that you must be a licensed physical therapist. That is still a threshold criteria that makes it professional in their eyes. But if that's not what you have, I always say try to get a mix so that USCIS can look at it as a whole and see all of your professional associations and groups that you're a part of and how they relate and strengthen your area of work. The sixth criteria is proving and showing recognition of your achievements and significant contributions to your industry. The best way to show this is letters of proof, copies of any of the awards or significant contributions that you've made. In the past, I've had a client who actually wrote different textbooks. And one way that we looked at showing this is showing the different colleges that adopted her textbook or chapters from her textbook. This is a way that you can show contributions to your industry. It doesn't have to be a mass amount of people adopting your findings or your beliefs, but if you're able to show that even one school or one group of people that is of a certain importance in your industry is adopting your contributions, then you can definitely satisfy this criteria. But you can also show achievements, whether they're from your job, your school, anything that really shows your skill set and your ability within your field. But letters are also great too, from professors or anyone else who's familiar with your work and the achievements that you've made so far. And the last criteria, that catch-all of other comparable evidence, this one confuses people at times, but all this really means is anything that you think or your attorney thinks that you have or you've done that will help supplement and strengthen your case. One example of this that I love to use with entrepreneurs is to have a copy of your initial business plan when you started becoming an entrepreneur. Just copies of, if you had a building, the schematics, anything to show the amount of work that you were doing initially. Another great one is creating a business plan for your endeavors here in the United States. Anything that really strengthens and supports the fact that you are skilled, you're able, and you're here to make a difference, and that what you're doing is of national importance. And with all of these, I always say, make sure anything that is not in English, just go ahead and get those certified translations. Understand it can take a minute, but it is truly best practice and will help with making your case move along as smoothly as possible. Additional criteria. So unfortunately, that isn't the only thing that we have to meet, but that is the initial eligibility. Next, you have to show national importance, substantial merit, which is also coupled with well-positioned, but it's not a big thing, so I'm not going to discuss it too much, and on balance. And I will be discussing these a little more in detail next. So national importance. The whole point of this visa is that, well, this green card pathway is that what you do is of national importance here in the United States. And because of that, it's so important that you need to bypass the labor certification process and be able to come here and help and provide that skill. So that is the crucial part of what you're proving in this petition. And we're proving that through substantial merit and well-positioned. And another thing that also always looks good is if you can show that you have the ability to create jobs, it's great with national importance, because anything that will stimulate the economy, the community, the culture, even politics is looked at favorably, because again, the goal is that what you are doing is of national importance. So now let's get into the substantial merit term. Substantial merit just means that your endeavors and your plans will contribute and improve the US in one way, shape, or form. And that is coupled with being well-positioned. But for well-positioned, all that the applicant is showing is that they have the skill and knowledge to actually do that job, which is why it isn't discussed here. It's mainly on that substantial merit of showing that your endeavors have merit, that they can truly come to life. And that's why it's very important to have these letters of recommendation that explain the work you've done, the impact that you've made, because that is the basis of all of this, and substantial merit is always the hardest one to prove. So the more evidence that you have to really explain and detail the work that you do and the wonderful impact that you can make here in the United States is key. As I said, yes, and the potential benefits that it brings to the United States as well. On balance, that's not discussed on this slide, because on balance is just that the weight of everything that you've presented outweighs the need for you to go through the labor certification process. So that on balance qualification is the weight of substantial merit, well-positioned, and that national importance there in your petition. And we want, obviously, the balanced tip to where USCIS sees the need and the importance of your skill and what you do, so that you don't have to go through the labor certification process. So in our degree evaluations, as I previously said, it's just a document that verifies the level of education that the applicant possesses. But I want to talk about this a little more, because this isn't something that you can do on your own, or that I suggest just getting someone to evaluate for you in the field of education. Officers do look favorably on independent credentials evaluators who have credible, logical, and well-documented cases. However, the best way to go that I always suggest, I never suggest an independent credentials evaluator. I always suggest to go to the credentials companies here in the United States that are well-known and respected by USCIS. And the one I always push and recommend is PARCC Evaluations. I'm just going to say that one more time, PARCC Evaluations. You're able to get everything online, submit everything without having to go through all of the slow timing and working with independent evaluators as well. Places like PARCC Evaluation will also do, depending on the language you speak, they will also do your translations as well. So it's somewhat of a one-stop shop for degree evaluations. So I definitely recommend going to an agency and doing it that way, so that you can verify it. And if there are changes that need to be made that sometimes happen, you're able to do that effectively without having any issues. So here's a list of the most common occupations at this moment when it comes to the EB-2 National Interest Waiver, but I don't want anyone looking at this like, oh my goodness, these careers. These are just the most common. I've seen EB-2 National Interest Waivers for nurse assistants, nurses. It doesn't matter truly the level. I've even seen paralegals. The point that matters for the EB-2 National Interest Waiver is, do you have the first qualification of that advanced degree, bachelor's plus 5 years, or the exceptional ability, and then showing that there's a need and you can fill it. It's not about the prestige of the job whatsoever. It's really about your skill and your ability to make that impact here in the United States through your occupation. Processing time. So I double checked this morning so that I could give you guys the freshest numbers. And this just makes me happy because you don't see numbers like this, which is why I'm smiling so hard. So the first part, if you're outside the United States thinking about coming and doing an EB2, or if you're here in the United States, the first thing you always have to do is get your petition approved through USCIS, and it only is going to go to one of these two centers. And right now, that first stage, if it has to go to Nebraska, is only taking 3 months. That's exceptionally low. I remember when I started practicing, I was seeing 18 months, 21 months. So this is really great to see. And then the Texas Service Center is only showing 6 months for 80% of their cases. And that, again, is amazing. Immigration cases can take years. So to see this fast of processing time is just amazing. And I always, well, right now I'm definitely pushing people to try to get EB2s now while these numbers are low, because unfortunately we cannot predict how these numbers move. Sometimes they go up exponentially and they go down. But I did want to show you guys how great these numbers look. But is there a way to speed up the processing time? Yes, if 3 months, 6 months, if you're looking at that like, that's a little too long for me, that is perfectly okay, because you can premium process. Premium processing is something that is an added document to your case. And if you submit premium processing, you can receive an answer within 15 calendar days. And this costs $1,500, but it is super beneficial for people in the United States who need to adjust or within a certain period of time or are a little worried. So I suggest doing that, but with how low the times are, I wouldn't really suggest having to do premium processing at this time. But I will say one of the biggest benefits that I love about premium processing is that if you decide 3 months from now and your case hasn't been adjudicated and seen that, I'm not ready to premium processing, your attorney can send that in for you. And then as soon as USCIS receives it, you have 15 calendar days and you will get an answer. So that is the plus side of this. And it is super advantageous for those who are consular processing, because the visa bulletin is always changing. And for those who aren't familiar with the visa bulletin, it's what tells us when visa numbers are available, when visa numbers are unavailable or behind. So the reason I suggest processes like this or getting started if you're consular processing is because it gets you past the USCIS part, you have your approval, and then your case is sent somewhere called the National Visa Center, where now it's just sitting waiting for you to get a visa number. But a lot of people can sit comfortably and say, okay, I've been approved. If they're outside the United States, I'm just waiting on the day I get the visa number so I can set everything up, have my interview, and then we're good. So that's why I really love premium processing for consular processing for anyone outside of the United States. So if you're curious about whether you qualify, there are 3 ways to contact us. The first way is through telephone, and our number is 202-709-6439. It is 202-709-6439. And you can also contact me via my email at hannah.whaley@eganimmigration.com, or you can visit our website at eganimmigration.com. And when you access our website and go to the business immigration section, there are 2 options where you can schedule a consultation, or you can go ahead, if you just have a short question or need some things fleshed out first, you can also submit an inquiry and we will get back to you within 24 to 48 hours. So thank you so much. We're really happy that for everyone who attended this webinar, it's honestly a pleasure to share this information. I love business immigration, so it's a lot of fun to me to be able to provide this information as well as help people. And because of that, we want to offer you guys a complimentary free consultation with the code EGANWebinar2. And that code needs to be in all caps in order to use this consultation code. And again, the code is EGANWebinar and then the number 2. And by using that, you can get a complimentary consultation.
Wow. All right. That's a great way to end. Hannah, thank you so much. We definitely learned a lot about EB2s. I think it's a great visa, that could really help a lot of immigrants who want to come to this country and come, be able to do it legally. So again, thank you so much. I think we learned a lot, and we hope that if you are interested, that you take advantage of this complimentary consultation. So I just want to inform everybody as well that we are going to be having another webinar on business immigration in November of this year. So that's probably I can't believe it's already going to be November. So I'm not sure if if that's going to be the last one of the year, but if not, I do want to encourage you guys to take advantage of these opportunities where you can get really helpful information. So again, thank you, Hannah, for preparing all of this for us to learn. And we hope, that everyone takes advantage of the free consultation. And we hope to see you on our next webinar.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.